Hello everyone, long time no see. I hope you guys have all had a really safe New Year's, and I'm really looking forward to starting brand new content for 2020. Now the first requested video of this year is a dating guide for empaths. I'm 27. Obviously, there is so much more I can learn about relationships and about other people as I progress through my life, but I am a married woman and have had my fair share of experience in the dating world. I know many of you may struggle with finding a partner, and I know also that your focus is to find a partner. Empaths and highly sensitive people alike, well, I think it's really normal to go out there and have some fun, especially if you're younger. I think the main focus is for the empath and the highly sensitive person to find someone to do life with. Unfortunately, in this day and age, it's so normal to struggle in the dating world just because everything is online. Our society is all about instant gratification, and relationships and dating are no exception of this. It's really unfortunate, especially for the empath and the highly sensitive person who really wants to find that authentic and genuine connection with another person. This can all get so blindsided from the use of social media and seeing the amount of options that a person can have. All of this, I believe, however, is a false sense of reality, because we all know that what we see on social media, 80% of it is false. And I think that it's wise to take that into consideration when we're choosing different partners to date. So through this video, I'm going to be focusing on how to put yourself out there as an empath into the dating world, and also what to expect when you are in a relationship, especially if it's an early relationship. I'm going to be using my own anecdotal experiences to fuel this video. As I said, I have been in long-term relationships. I failed in relationships. I've succeeded in some points. And I'm also a big advocate of fighting to the very end if you're in a long-term relationship and if you're with what you believe is the one. Look, as cliche as this sounds, you need to focus on yourself. Like, before you can even consider being in a relationship with another person, you have to focus on yourself. It's as simple as that. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been there. I've been in situations where you're like, you just want to find someone, you want to be able to share your life experience with another person. We're all not perfect. We all have things we need to work on, etc. And how can we expect to be fully established people before we get into a relationship? Because that can take an entire lifetime. So I totally get it. I really do. But the difference here is not so much being already fully established, but focusing on yourself. You are the most important person in your life. You need to know this. I find that many people in this instance, especially males, tend to find it very difficult, especially in the beginning, to connect with the people they want to connect with in a romantic sense. They may often find themselves in situations where they feel like they're not good enough and the other person kind of treats them as an option. And this is where you need to realize that you can take a step back, focus on yourself, and don't focus on yourself in the sense that you're thinking, I'll focus on myself so I will attract the people I want to attract into my life. No. You need to focus on yourself and actually do the work. You need to focus on that one thing that makes you tick, or a couple of things that make you tick, and just go for it. Immerse yourself into that world of building yourself up and filling yourself with the things that make you as an individual happy. What you will find is once you let go of this notion of trying to attract people into your life, and when you put the focus inward into building yourself up, all of that energy is going to radiate and it's going to attract people in, because they're going to see this inspiring person who never gives up on themselves, who has all this energy and this zest for life. People are attracted to confidence. They are attracted to people who know themselves well and who want the most out of their lives. It's so easy to become lost into trying to find somebody. It's so easy to become lost into a relationship and lost into your partner as soon as you forget yourself. you may as well raise the white flag. I wish my husband, James, was here to be able to sit with me and to talk about his experience, because I think he is the poster child of this focusing on yourself aspect. So my husband had been quite unlucky in love in his early 20s. Every time he would try and put himself out there, he'd get himself burnt, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. One thing he never wavered from, however, was being himself. And I have said that many times in my videos. James is 100% authentically himself, and he won't change that. But of course, this aspect brought him down. Not being able to have successful relationships brought him down, as it does. One day, James decided to give up. He decided to give up on trying to date anyone, and instead he was focusing on himself. He was focusing on his music and on the things that made him happy, and he stopped focusing on trying to please anybody or sacrifice himself just to get a date or to have a successful relationship. What ended up happening was he met me. He took me to the recording studio, and I watched him do what he did best. And that was the part of him I was attracted to, was this guy who had immense drive and had this dream. He took responsibility for himself. He took responsibility for his life path, and he fought for his goals, and he still fights for his goals. I could see this self-focused person who wanted to be the best version of themselves. And he didn't have to be perfect. He didn't have to be fully established for me to be attracted to him. But what he did do was he kept fighting. He kept fighting for himself. And I loved that. And that's what you need to do. So this brings me to the next point. As I mentioned, James wasn't perfect. He isn't perfect. Our relationship isn't perfect. And that's not the point. It doesn't have to be perfect. And if you are going into a relationship with the expectation that things need to be perfect, or you need to find the perfect partner, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. The perfect partner does not exist, all right? You're going to struggle in a long-term relationship, and that is incredibly inevitable. The people who tell you their relationship's perfect, they're lying. And they will be in for a rude awakening one day when all of a sudden all their shit falls apart. And this is the problem I have with social media and online dating and everything being online and the whole instant gratification culture, is that it gives the illusion that you can have quote unquote perfection. That perfect girl on Instagram who has the most flawless skin and amazing body and who seems to have her life together, that is not real. That friend who tells you how perfect her relationship is, she's not being 100% honest. And if she feels that way, again, she'll be in for a rude awakening at some point. The human condition in a nutshell is imperfection. Some empaths have a tendency to put their partners on a pedestal and expect them to be a certain way because empaths expect that of themselves too. So because empaths go into relationships wanting to be the best version of themselves for their partner, they think the other person's going to do that too, and this isn't true. Everybody is different. We are all individuals, and we all have individual needs and individual flaws. The key to a successful relationship, well, there's a few keys, but one of the keys to a successful relationship is forgiveness. Your partner's going to screw up time and time again. Obviously, we in a relationship need to take accountability for our wrongdoings and work hard at trying to, again, be the best versions of ourselves for our partner. But we are human. We're so incredibly imperfect. To expect us to be perfect is really unrealistic. One thing I do know in a relationship, and I actively practice, is to make sure my partner's needs are met. With that comes forgiveness. With that comes self-sacrifice. As soon as you start being selfish, and this is not to be confused with the first point that I mentioned. As soon as you start being selfish, you're in trouble. I woke up on my knees through the black Despite dropping your expectations of perfection, it's also not the best idea to settle for mediocrity. This has a lot of relation to the first point of focusing on yourself, but once you're in a relationship or you are forming a relationship with someone, if they don't meet your standards, really pay attention to that. Because once you settle for the wrong person, you're essentially just going to be wasting your time and wasting yourself. As soon as you start compromising who you are, essentially what ends up happening is both you and your partner or you and your potential partner, you're going to be wasting your very precious time on this planet trying to make something work that just really doesn't. Empaths have this huge tendency to either want to help heal a person or to change someone, especially if they have had a disruptive past and they may be a little bit damaged. If this is your mission as an empath, to help heal or change someone in your life, to kind of in a way save them, this is going to really start hurting you. I knocked the camera, oh my God, with my foot. Silly me, where was I? Now, if you're in the process of wanting to date or putting yourself out there, you're probably the kind of person who wants to find that authentic, genuine connection with another person. And this is such a great attribute. Keep focusing on that, because once you are blindsided by a false sense of reality or a false narrative, it's going to be hard or harder to get yourself out of that situation. You really need to trust your gut, trust your intuition when you are playing the dating game. If it seems like hard work in the beginning, it's probably not going to work out. If you have to start compromising yourself and start chasing that other person, feeling like you're always on the back foot, that is a big red flag. It shouldn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that when I started dating James. It felt so easy. Everything flowed. I didn't feel like I had to change myself or push myself or change James. It just happened so easily and so authentically. I have, however, been in a relationship where the opposite was true, and it was a long relationship, and my spirit broke. When I was a teenager, I was so full of zest, so full of life, and I had like reasonably high self-esteem. But in this relationship I was in, it wasn't good, and I felt like I had to do a lot of chasing. I felt like I had to do a lot of changing, and I felt like I had to nurse my partner at the time. And this broke me. I lost who I was. I lost this sprightly, creative girl who just wanted the most from life. I stopped focusing on myself. I wasted so many years of my life, and I'm still scrambling to get those pieces back and to rediscover myself again. My self-esteem is still largely affected by this troublesome relationship that I had. And I'm just so grateful that I have James there willing to help build me back up. And that's what you need to find. You need to find that one person who wants to help build you up. You need to find that one person who takes your dreams and your goals and who you are, your life purpose. You need to find someone who takes all those things seriously. So the next one is to get offline. And I know many of you, may be introverts, and this might be a bit harder for you. I can relate because I'm an introvert. But you're really closing yourself in when you're just relying on the internet to find you a date, especially if you're using something like Tinder, which do people use it anymore? I'm not really sure, because the last time I was on Tinder was 5 years ago, and it was my friend who made me an account, and it wasn't my thing at all. I met James by being self-focused, as I said, going out and doing the things that help to build me up outside of the house. I feel that I should note that I'm not intending to disregard people's experiences of successful online relationships. My most authentic friendships have been those I've met online, so I totally respect that romance and companionship can be sought through social media. However, for those who are struggling with this concept, expanding certain methods to meeting people is always worth a try. as did he. James met me by not being on Tinder, and all of his relationships that were on Tinder failed miserably. Being online, again, gives you this false sense of reality. People show what they want you to see. And then when you finally meet them, it's like it's almost forced. And you're kind of going in with these expectations of, oh, are we on a date? And lines can get blurred, expectations can get blurred. For me personally, in my experience, when you're out there doing the things that you love or living, and the energy radiates outwards and people become attracted to that just really naturally. And for James and I, our connection was natural, as I mentioned. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that this is easier said than done. I know that just walking out of your house and magically meeting people is not always realistic for many people. But again, it's going back to that first point of focusing on yourself, building yourself up. Once you feel so confident and comfortable with being a full individual, you won't feel like you have to need somebody. And then those connections would just form naturally. And that's what you want. You want those authentic, natural connections with people. I find that if you're focusing on a hobby, or like you're out doing something that is hobby related or talent related, that you end up meeting people who are quite like-minded and who are on your level. So when I met James, knowing that he was into music and he was a creative guy, it was like I was right there with him on his level, on that creative, innovative, wanting to live life kind of level. Now the last one is to take things slow. When you meet someone and you start dating them, it's okay to just want to get to know them. As empaths, I think we go all in, or we have a tendency to idealize the situation and to go all in. When I was a teenager, I was so trusting, and I kind of just thought if I put myself out like this, my partner's going to do the same. Unfortunately, from time to time, we need to be self-preserving, and we need to understand that it's okay to not be 100% vulnerable all the time, that it's okay to just get to know somebody. Now, of course, there are those people who have jumped in straight away and they're married and living happily ever after. But I also know that this doesn't always work with everybody. Getting to know somebody and really getting to know them is going to give you a better chance of having a successful relationship, because it's going to give you a better chance of really understanding what you're getting yourself into. Once you understand that you have both goals that are aligning and that you can really see yourself being together in a relationship with this person, you're going to have a better fighting chance at being successful. At the end of the day, it's all about experience. It's all about having those failures in order to learn what we really want in our lives and how we really want to be. Although I've had a couple of rough relationships in my life, I am grateful for them because they have taught me so much about myself and about what I want. Those relationships are what led me to my husband, and they helped me to appreciate what I have in my life. They taught me what I didn't want. They taught me what I didn't need. They taught me a great deal about myself. I know that finding a relationship is hard, especially in this day and age, and especially when you're an empath and you want to have that authentic connection with somebody who's going to be there for you for the rest of your life. But I'm here to tell you that you can have that. It's incredibly possible for you. It'll come at the right time. It'll come when you focus on yourself and when you know what you truly want, because you're a whole person. Now, to wrap up this video, we are going to be doing another segment to feature an INFP. Now, I might change this name. This is all a work in progress, and it's just because I want to keep expanding from this INFP thing, expanding outwards into more of the human condition, and I want to be able to feature people who aren't just INFP, but who are incredibly creative and talented individuals. So here we go. So if you haven't figured it out yet, my backing track for today's video is an acknowledgement to Kiwi country artist Sam Bartells. Sam's career took off when his husky timbre, his raw acoustic presence, and his authentic delivery of melody and lyrics was spotted by Nashville recording executive Peter Strickland. Yes, I fully poached that from his bio, but it's only because there's not really any better way to describe this talented musician. His content draws you in and quietens everything around you, like Chris Cornell, which is cool by me because we Moors love Chris Cornell. Anyway, drop him a listen and a follow in the Spotify and Instagram links below. So thank you everybody for watching this video. I hope it's helped you in some way, shape or form, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope you have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Bye.